For years, whispers of a shadow project echoed out of the Pentagon. Defense insiders spoke of a jet so advanced it sounded more like science fiction than military hardware. A fighter that could cruise faster than the speed of sound without afterburners, vanish from radar like a ghost, and command swarms of drones. They called it the F-47 stealth monster. This isn't just the next evolution of American air power. It's a leap so big it makes today's stealth fighters look obsolete. And now, after decades of classified development, the veil is finally lifting. Boeing has been chosen as the prime contractor. Timelines are accelerating, and the Air Force aims for it to be operational by 2030. That's less than 5 years before China and Russia are expected to unleash their own 6th-generation jets. What you're about to discover is how the F-47 came to be, why it's unlike anything the world has ever seen, and why it might be the most important aircraft ever built. Born in the shadows, the F-47 didn't appear out of nowhere. Its roots stretch back to one of the Pentagon's most ambitious projects, Next Generation Air Dominance, or NGAD. Officially, NGAD was pitched as a family of systems to replace the aging F-22 Raptor, but behind the bland budget documents and classified hearings, something extraordinary was happening. By the late 2010s, the Air Force knew the writing was on the wall. The F-22, once untouchable, was limited in numbers, just 186 jets. The F-35, powerful as it was, couldn't cover the vast distances of the Pacific or fully survive against the most advanced air defenses. China was showing off prototypes like the J-36, Russia was hyping the MiG-41, and suddenly America's air dominance looked vulnerable. That's when the Air Force greenlit something unprecedented, a program built in the shadows, away from the usual red tape, designed to skip a generation entirely. Instead of evolutionary upgrades, NGAD was about revolution. Multispectral stealth, AI co-pilots, swarms of loyal wingmen, hypersonic missiles, a jet that could outfly, outthink, and outfight anything in the sky. The competition to build it was fierce. Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Boeing all submitted designs. For many, the smart money was on Lockheed, the company behind both the F-22 and F-35. But in a stunning twist, the contract went to Boeing. For a company that hadn't led a major fighter program since the F-15 Eagle, this was redemption. For the Air Force, it was a gamble, betting that Boeing's radical, tailless, blended wing design would deliver the stealth monster America needed. At first, the F-47 was little more than a ghost, hidden in black budgets, mentioned only in whispers. But by 2025, the secrecy began to crack. Reports leaked of test flights at Groom Lake. Budget allocations ballooned, signaling that something big was underway. And when officials began openly talking about an accelerated 6th-generation fighter, defense insiders knew the F-47 was real. The first thing that sets the F-47 apart is the way it looks. Forget the familiar silhouette of an F-22 or F-35. The F-47 is something else entirely. It features a tailless, blended wing body that looks more like a futuristic bomber shrunk down into a fighter's frame. Every angle, every curve, every line of the aircraft is there for one reason: to disappear. This isn't stealth like we've known it. 5th-generation fighters like the Raptor were masters at dodging radar. The F-47 goes far beyond that. Engineers have designed what they call multispectral stealth, shaping encodings that don't just fool radar, but also cut down its heat signature, suppress engine noise, and even bend visible light. Some reports suggest the F-47 could use metamaterials and active camouflage, a kind of sci-fi tech that can literally blur the jet's outline to the human eye. Imagine a fighter so advanced that it doesn't just hide from radar operators in a bunker. It's invisible to the pilot looking out his canopy window, trying to find it. And then there's the canopy itself. Rumors say the F-47 may ditch the traditional glass cockpit altogether. Instead, pilots could fly inside an armored shell, relying on 360-degree video feeds and augmented reality displays stitched together by external sensors. That means no weak points, no reflective glass for radar to bounce off, and a level of protection we've never seen in a fighter before. The airframe is equally radical. Its sleek flying wing shape hides the engines deep inside, with sharp inlets aligned perfectly to scatter radar waves. Embedded antennas serve double duty as electronic warfare systems, allowing the jet to jam enemy radars while staying completely silent itself. to an enemy defense network, the F-47 isn't just hard to see, it's an electronic ghost, feeding back false signals, vanishing, and reappearing wherever it wants. This design philosophy isn't about surviving a dogfight over friendly skies. It's about slipping deep into hostile airspace and not just coming back alive, but doing it while the enemy never even knows it was there. In military circles, they're already calling it the invisible assassin, a jet that doesn't fight fair. It stalks, strikes, and vanishes before its target even knows it's under attack. For decades, America's edge in stealth has been the difference between life and death for its pilots. The F-17, the B-2, the F-22, each pushed the boundary a little further, but the F-47 isn't pushing the boundary, it's redefining it entirely. In the Pacific, where China's radar networks stretch hundreds of miles, this kind of invisibility isn't just useful, it's essential. Part 2. Stealth may keep the F-47 hidden, but it's the engines and weapons that make it terrifying. At the heart of this monster are a pair of adaptive cycle turbofans, the most advanced jet engines ever built. Unlike the F-22 or F-35, which are locked into one performance mode, these engines can literally shift personalities mid-flight. Need to sprint? They open up, delivering raw thrust that pushes the jet past Mach 2 without even touching the afterburners. Need to stretch its legs? They switch into high efficiency mode, sipping fuel and giving the F-47 a combat radius of more than 1,500 nautical miles, nearly double that of the F-35. That range is a game changer. In the Pacific, where bases are scattered across thousands of miles, the ability to fly from Guam or Japan, punch deep into contested airspace, and still make it home is priceless. It means the F-47 isn't chained to vulnerable carriers or forward bases. It can operate independently, striking targets that were once thought untouchable. But range and speed are only half the story. The F-47 is designed to carry a new generation of weapons that sound ripped out of a sci-fi movie. Inside its internal weapons bays, engineers are preparing space for hypersonic missiles, air-to-air killers that can hit targets more than 300 kilometers away before the enemy even knows what's coming. Imagine a dogfight where one side can strike from hundreds of miles out and the other never gets a shot off. That's not a fight, that's an execution. And the defenses, just as futuristic. Reports suggest the F-47 may be armed with directed energy systems, high-powered lasers, or microwave emitters mounted right on the aircraft. Instead of dodging incoming missiles, the jet could burn them out of the sky. Think about that for a second. A fighter that can swat away threats at the speed of light. Every weapon it carries is designed to keep it stealthy. No dangling bombs or fuel tanks to give away its position. When it wants to go invisible, the F-47 fights clean, everything hidden inside its belly. But when stealth isn't needed, external hardpoints can turn it into a beast of burden, hauling massive bomb loads to flatten targets on the ground. And then there's electronic warfare. The F-47 doesn't just carry missiles and lasers, it carries an arsenal of invisible weapons, built-in jammers, cognitive electronic countermeasures that learn enemy radar patterns in real time, and cyber payloads that can hack systems on the fly. It doesn't just fight planes and missiles, it fights the entire digital backbone of an enemy military. Taken together, this mix of adaptive engines, hypersonic missiles, and laser defenses makes the F-47 not just a fighter, but a flying arsenal of the future. A jet that can outrun, outgun, and outlast anything in the sky today. If the F-47's stealth and engines make it invisible and unstoppable, its brain is what makes it truly frightening. This isn't just a fighter jet with a pilot in the cockpit. It's a human-machine team, built from the ground up to fight in ways no aircraft ever has before. Inside the F-47 is an AI co-pilot, not science fiction, not some experimental add-on, but a fully integrated digital partner. While the human pilot focuses on strategy and big decisions, the AI crunches data at lightning speed. Radar contacts, electronic signatures, infrared blips, thousands of pieces of information pouring in every second. The AI fuses it all together, highlighting threats, prioritizing targets, even plotting evasive maneuvers faster than any human brain could ever process. In flight simulations, AI systems have already beaten seasoned fighter pilots in dogfights. Now imagine giving that AI the power of a Mach 2 stealth jet armed with hypersonics and lasers. That's what the F-47 brings to the table. The pilot becomes less of a stick and rudder flyer and more of a battlefield commander, orchestrating a digital symphony of destruction. And the orchestra, it's made up of drones, lots of them. The F-47 isn't designed to fly alone. It's built to command loyal wingmen, swarms of uncrewed jets like Boeing's MQ-28 Ghostbat or the XQ-58 Valkyrie. These drones can scout ahead, jam radars, act as decoys, or even go kamikaze against enemy defenses. A single F-47 could enter contested airspace with half a dozen drones under its command, each one expendable but deadly in its own right. Picture this: the F-47 approaches a hostile air defense zone. Its drones fan out ahead, some feeding back targeting data, others saturating enemy radars with false signals. One drone dives toward a missile battery, drawing fire, while another launches its own electronic attack. Meanwhile, the F-47 stays cloaked and untouchable, ready to unleash a hypersonic missile the moment a weakness opens up. That's not just air combat, that's mosaic warfare, where manned and unmanned systems merge into a single lethal network. This is where the F-47 truly earns its reputation as a stealth monster. It doesn't just fight like a jet, it fights like an entire squadron compressed into one aircraft. With every drone it commands, its reach multiplies. With every AI-powered decision, its advantage widens. For America's adversaries, this is the nightmare scenario, facing an enemy that doesn't just outfly you, but outthinks you. The F-47 is the first fighter designed for the era of algorithmic war, where software, sensors, and swarming drones can decide the battle before the first missile is even fired. Part 3. To understand what makes the F-47 so dangerous, you have to see it in context. For decades, the F-22 Raptor was the undisputed king of the skies, Mach 2 speed, unmatched agility, and stealth so effective that rival air forces couldn't even track it. But the Raptor's numbers were limited, and it was built for a different era. The F-35, meanwhile, was designed as the workhorse, versatile, networked, and global. Impressive, yes, but slower, shorter-legged, and less survivable in the most hostile environments. The F-47 changes that balance completely. It takes the raw power of the Raptor, the digital brains of the F-35, and then leaps into a new generation. With its 2,000-mile range, Mach 2 plus supercruise, and multispectral stealth, it can outfly and outhide both. And unlike either of its predecessors, it doesn't fight alone. Its AI and drone swarms give it force-multiplying power that neither the Raptor nor Lightning II could ever dream of. But the real test isn't how it stacks up against American jets, it's how it stands against America's rivals. Take China's J-36, a massive tri-engine stealth design unveiled in 2024. On paper, it looks like Beijing's answer to the F-22 and F-35, combined long-range, stealthy, designed for air superiority. The problem? It's still in early stages, with unproven engines and limited integration with drones. The F-47, by contrast, is built from day one for networked warfare, meaning it doesn't just duel aircraft, it dismantles entire air defense networks. Or look at Russia's much-hyped MiG-41, their so-called 6th-generation Mach 5 interceptor. It's meant to shoot down bombers and satellites at the edge of space. Impressive on paper, but it's a one-trick pony, a niche platform with questionable funding. The F-47 isn't narrow in scope. It's a multi-role apex predator, air superiority, long-range strike, suppression of enemy air defenses, and electronic warfare, all in one. Even America's closest allies are racing to catch up. Britain, Japan, and Italy are working on Tempest. France and Germany are pouring billions into FCAS. These projects all chase the same holy grail: stealth, AI, and drones. But none are expected to field an operational jet before the late 2030s. The F-47, if it meets its timeline, could be flying a full decade earlier, meaning America locks in dominance while everyone else is still building prototypes. In short, the F-47 isn't just competitive, it's positioned to leap ahead of the entire world. A fighter so advanced it doesn't just win dogfights, it reshapes the very idea of air combat. That's why experts call it the apex predator of the skies. Not because it's just faster or stealthier, but because it hunts with tools nobody else has: AI partners, loyal wingmen, hypersonics, lasers, and range that turns oceans into stepping stones. When the F-47 enters the battle space, it doesn't just dominate, it owns the sky. The F-47 may sound like the stuff of tomorrow, but tomorrow is coming fast. The Air Force isn't thinking in decades. It wants this jet in the skies by 2030. That's an almost impossible pace for a program this complex, but the pressure is real. China is rolling out new prototypes like the J-36 and J-50. Russia keeps hyping its MiG-41, and the Pentagon knows the margin of American air dominance is shrinking by the year. According to reports, the F-47 is already well into development. Some insiders even whisper about test flights over Groom Lake, with prototypes cloaked under layers of secrecy. The timeline is aggressive. First flight in the late 2020s. Initial operational capability around 2030. That means pilots who are flying F-22s and F-35s today could be strapping into the stealth monster before the decade is out. Strategically, the jet is built for one theater above all, the Pacific. The distances are vast, the defenses are layered, and the stakes are enormous. With a combat radius of over 1,500 nautical miles and the ability to command drone swarms, the F-47 gives the US something it hasn't had in years: the ability to penetrate deep into contested airspace, strike hard, and come home without relying on vulnerable carriers or bases. In plain terms, it's America's ace card against China's rise. But it's not just about one region. The F-47 is designed to be a global deterrent. In Europe, it can outpace Russian interceptors and suppress missile networks from the Arctic to Kaliningrad. In the Middle East, it can deliver standoff strikes without exposing pilots to dense SAM belts. And when paired with the B-21 Raider bomber, it forms a 1-2 punch. The bomber carries the heavy payload, and the F-47 clears the skies. The legacy of the F-47, though, goes beyond hardware. It marks the dawn of a new philosophy in air warfare. For decades, air combat was about pilots and their machines. The better trained, the better engineered, the more likely to win. The F-47 flips that equation. It's not just a jet, it's a system of systems, manned and unmanned, hardware and software, human and artificial intelligence, all woven into a single combat web. And that's why its legacy will stretch far beyond its first missions. The technologies pioneered here, like adaptive engines, AI co-pilots, hypersonic weapons, and laser defenses, will filter into bombers, drones, and even allied air forces. In many ways, the F-47 is less a fighter and more a blueprint for the future of war in the sky. If it succeeds, by the early 2030s, America will once again hold an overwhelming advantage in the air. If it stumbles, the balance could tip toward Beijing or Moscow. That's why the stakes are so high, the timeline so aggressive, and the secrecy so absolute. The road to 2030 is short, but for the F-47, it's not just about reaching the finish line. It's about rewriting the rules of air combat forever. And if it delivers what the Pentagon promises, the stealth monster won't just be another jet in the fleet. It will be remembered as the machine that kept America's skies and its future secure. If you believe America's skies should always belong to American pilots, hit that like button, subscribe for more stories the mainstream won't tell you, and let me know in the comments if you think the F-47 will truly change the future of air combat.